This is Siva Devaki from MassMailer. Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. Today, we're going to talk about the new features in MassMailer for the November 20 release. I'm going to highlight some of the features. There are many, but I think it's important to highlight the ones that are very important. I would expect that these are kind of major changes. To start with, if you've been using MassMailer, you know that MassMailer does support any object where there is an email field. But at the same time, in the latest release, we have started supporting even the related objects. For an example, if you want to send emails to, say, contacts, but you want to filter accounts, and then you want to send you want to send emails to the related contacts, you'll be able to do that. Or the other use case scenario could be that you are actually filtering cases or case objects, but you want to send it to the contact roles. In a way, you're sending it to the contacts, but you have a junction object in between called contact roles. You can do that in the new release. And same thing, opportunity contact role. Similarly, you can filter the opportunity objects, and then you can send it to the contact roles. Ultimately, again, you're sending it to the contacts. So this is a major change in MassMailer. So it's basically called as ability to send emails to the related objects. There is simple setup that you need to go through if at all you want to send it to any custom objects other than the standard objects that we support. So there are more objects added into the MassMailer setup email settings. When you go there, when you upgrade, you'll see the new objects that we support, such as the case contact role and opportunity contact role, opportunity and account by default. And the other change that we have is a dynamic file attachment. So far, you've been attaching files straight from the computer, or maybe you're picking it up from your desktop and sending it. But with the new feature, you can actually attach files provided those files are uploaded to the respective object. Say you have an invoice object and you want to send out emails to your clients, and you're sending it to every single client, and that email address is there on invoice, for an example, and you want to pick up the files from the invoice object, but it is all going to be unique for each customer, right? So as long as there's a pattern that you follow with the file name, for an example, right? Say this month invoice, you filter it by the date when it got created, maybe the invoice name or something, and then you can dynamically attach those files to every single invoice email, so that every recipient will have their own individual file attachment. So that's called dynamic file attachment feature. You can also do a follow-up email. So far, you've been able to send a regular standard one-off email, right? But once you kind of receive an email event such as processed or delivered or open or click, so far you've been just sending email from your own email inbox, but now you can send it from MassMailer. All you need to do is just go to the MassMailer email status record and then click on the follow-up, and you'll be able to send a follow-up email. And then reply event capturing. So this is again in new feature that we added. So if somebody responds to your email, how do you capture that reply? That was missing in the previous email versions. With the latest version, you'll be able to capture the replies as well. So meaning somebody responds to your email, that gets logged as a reply event. There's going to be an additional DNS setup that you need to go through if you are interested. And also there's going to be an additional cost for this as well. You basically need one read-only license for this purpose. So that'll be $12.49 per month that's going to be the additional cost if you wanted this. This also lets you kind of get more features such as view in a browser kind of a thing. So basically, it needs one read-only license to get certain features such as reply and view in a browser. If you're interested, let me know. And email preference center. So this is again a big change. So far, you've been able to create one email preference center, meaning like you can create your own unsubscribe groups, and that's all grouped into one. But what if you have multiple teams in your company who want to use MassMailer, but their email preferences are going to be different from each other? So how do you handle that? So for which we came up with this idea of email preference center, where you can create, say, the preference center for marketing team, sales team, product team, or finance team, whatever. So every team can have their own, but there is a overall global limit on how many unsubscribe groups that you can have. We let you do like 25. That's the top, so you can't go beyond 25. And the HTML to text email conversion has become a little bit more advanced. So you'll be able to refresh the text version from HTML. You can make certain changes and save it. You also have the same feature even in the template builder. You should be able to create a text version of the HTML too right now in this new release. And then we been supporting the email deliverability through the email monitor plugin, but now you'll be able to do this in the outreach as well, even though we strongly recommend that you do it beforehand itself and fix anything. Just for the sake of getting a deliverability report at the time of sending an outreach, we've created this a small tiny feature through which you can test email deliverability in outreach. And again, we strongly recommend that you always do it before you send out an email though. You can CC multiple email fields from the current object or any related objects. So that's a CC feature. Has become a little bit more advanced in the current release or the latest release. And when it comes to purging the data, you've been used to just use a flat criteria, which is the date criteria. But now we added a lot more filters to it. So there's an advanced purge tool where you can apply filters such as the event and not just the dates, any other information such as the name of the campaign, so that you can go granular when it comes to deleting the data. You can do the A/B testing now with actually separate email templates. So what it means, you not only can segregate the sample A/B testing emails by the email subject. Now you can actually select a different email template altogether for A/B testing. So that's possible now. We have developed a feature through which you can actually preview the template from outreach. Previously, you could only do it by going to the email status, but now from outreach, you can just click on preview template and you'll be able to look at the template that you've sent out, both HTML and the text version. And if you're doing A/B testing, we actually show you both templates too. With the new version, we actually migrate the email status values and activities and so on and so forth from the lead to contact whenever you convert lead as a contact. Previously, that was a missing feature. Now you have ability to do that. And again, this can be enabled in the MassMailer setup. There's a tiny checkbox that you have to check to enable this feature. And when it comes to the process builder, we were letting you send emails to a lead or a contact or any single object, or even you were able to send emails to campaign. But with the latest release, you can actually send it to the list views, whether it is a Salesforce list view or a MassMailer list view. You can actually send like a bulk email through the process builder. So the advantage is that now you don't have to worry about how many emails are being sent, due to the Salesforce limits. Because process builder used to, or rather, it still has limits of 5,000 process builder processes queue. You cannot go beyond that. So what if you needed to send emails to 10,000 people upon certain event? Now you can do that using the MassMailer list view or Salesforce list view. And then when it comes to supporting the template, the template ID in the process builder. So it was basically an ID value previously we were taking, but now you can actually do, you can actually use the API name. So that way, if you ever changing the instance from one like sandbox to production, so you don't have to worry about ID getting changed. So you can actually just use the API name so that you can straight away develop something in sandbox and promote it to production instance without making any changes. In the MassMailer list view, as you know, you can apply the filters. The date filters that you apply used to be just the simple date, but now you can actually use the relative date values such as today, yesterday, last month, kind of date values as date filters. When it comes to sending out emails to the target audience, previously there was no option to exclude records. But now in the latest release, especially when you're using the MassMailer list view, we let you exclude the records through the target audience page. So that's kind of an option that we have now. And then adding the users was a little cumbersome. Previously, you had to do it from MassMailer, the regular Salesforce setup and set up the permissions manually and everything. Now you could actually do it from the MassMailer setup screen. Just how to click on users tab under MassMailer setup, and then just add the users and select the respective the option whether they are full users or read-only users, kind of a thing. We also do the auto assignment of the permission set. So when you add the users, we take care of the permission set assignment automatically for you. So these are some of the new features that we added. So let's just take a look at some of these. I hope I would have enough time. So whatever time that I have, I'll try to cover it. We'll take a quick 15 minutes or so. So we'll take a look at the MassMailer setup to start with. So the tracking settings, under which we have the, so one is the, okay. So the email preference groups, as you can see, previously the email preference groups that you created would go under the default email preferences when you migrate to the new app. If you want to create brand new, you can actually create a brand new email preference group just by clicking on this particular button. And then give a name, and then you can keep on adding the preference group the way we have done it right here. So this is basically a brand new feature that we added. So that way, sales team can have their own preference centers, and marketing team can have their own preference center, and the unsubscribe groups. So that's the way to go. Okay. So that's one feature that we added here. And let's see. The email settings, now you have an option to add the related objects feature. So if you want to support any custom object, you can do that without having to have the email address populated for that, or even any standard objects. So you can see some of the objects that we added are contact roles, the case contact role, opportunity contact role, the opportunity, and the account. So these are basically the new the objects that you see that are being added. So if you have any custom object like application member kind of a thing, you can just add it. So any object that you want to support, you can do that now. And then let's see if we have anything here, sender settings. So the email deliverability, you can turn it on by default. That's an option. And then tools, you have an option called basic and advanced. So the basic is the one that you are used to, but in advanced now, you can actually apply filters for each one of them. For an example, if you want to delete mass mail email status, you have granular criteria that you can add, by selecting the respective filters right there. Same thing with the manual purge. So you have basic and advanced, both options are available. And this is the new tab called users, where you can actually add the users. So especially when you're migrating to the new app, you will have to add the users once again from this screen. Rather, we do add them by default, but they are going to be in the read-only mode. So you'll add to read-only license type. So you will have to update that to full access users, provided you have the full access user licenses already purchased for those users. So that's a mandatory step. I plan to cover that in one of the upcoming webinars. So you just have to kind of add the users by clicking on this button if you want to add, or you can also assign multiple users by going to this particular screen and select multiple users and add it. That's an option too. So these are a few features that we added in the setup, and this one, I think the inbound part. So this is basically for the reply event. So if you ever wanted to capture the reply, so provided you have the domain set up, we let you kind of track the reply events by setting up this inbound parts. Again, if you're interested, you can let us know. And outreaches, so now you have the preview feature. So if you ever wanted to see what template that you've sent, which is related to a specific outreach, so there is going to be a preview template button there on the outreach, which will display the actual template that is related to this particular outreach. So you'll be able to see both the versions, the text version and the HTML, provided you kind of save both of them. In template builder, you have an option to create your own text version for any template. So you'll see HTML and the text version when you kind of load it, basically either an existing template that's already created in MassMailer, or you can create something new by going there, and you can type in the HTML, the text version, or you can just use the automated one. So for example, this is your content, and then you can just refresh the text, but you'll have to save it though. And then, the text version will get stored. You can refresh this. That's how you basically create a text version for your HTML. So that's the new feature that we added. And then let's see. So from list views, you'll be able to navigate to the outreach. So basically from here, from Salesforce as a MassMailer list view, if you want to send an email right now, you're always going to the outreach and then sending an email from there by selecting a list view. So with this new release, you can actually just straight away send it from here. Just select that send via MassMailer, and that'll take you to the outreach wizard directly. So that's kind of a new feature that we added. Okay. And then again, when it comes to creating list views, there's going to be a change. So here you would see that we ask you for the email field. You'll have to select the email field, provided it's not default one. So let's just take a look at demo list view for the new release. And also, you'll notice that there's an API name that we populate. So that's another thing. So for an example, if you want to send out an email to contacts from account, you can select account, but you can also select the respective field. For an example, the child object, say contact, and then I can actually select the email field from here, which is just the email field from there. And that becomes your, the actual object that you're sending email to, the contact object from the account. And you can apply filters as usual, but there are additional fields that you can display from the child object as well, not just the current object and the parent object. You can also display it from the child object as well. That's an option. So that's a feature we added. And then if you take a look at the outreach wizard, so let's say we go to the next step. And then say contact, and maybe we'll pick up one of the objects right there and the list view. So exclude records is a new option that we have here. So if you click on this exclude records, so it'll ask you to say, it'll give you an option to exclude any records from there. So for example, you want to exclude those two, and you just say done. And that will refresh this page, and then there are only 4 records now out of 6 that you're going to send emails to. And you can always change this by going to exclude record section. You can always change this if needed. You can apply filters to retrieve the the actual list of contacts or leads or whatever object may be, and that's why we have the filtered records option as well. So that's a new feature. And then let's say go to the next step. And then here, you have an option to do the A/B testing. So now you have an alternate template tab where you can actually select a completely different template altogether when it comes to sending out alternate template. And then so selecting template so is straightforward. So which is the way it used to be. So everything else is the same. Now you have an option to do the text version though. So that's kind of a new feature. So let's say you select a folder and a template. And it's loading into the advanced editor. And then let's say if you go to the, let's go save this. And then if you go to the text version, it actually shows you what was there before. And if you refresh the text, it's going to give you this. So if you want to kind of make some changes, you can just make the changes here. And then, some of the like labels will be displayed here, such as button and everything. So unfortunately, we'll have to manually delete anything that is kind of automated text coming from the labels. But I don't think it's going to be complicated because I don't expect that you're going to have too many labels in the email. So those things you'll have to manually delete. Otherwise the text version would work fine. And then you can go to the next step. So here you can actually upload files the way it used to be, but you can apply the filters. If you want to bring in the attachments from the respective objects, as I mentioned, you can always apply those filters based on the fields I did cover this in a different webinar, a complete feature. So feel free to look at our YouTube channels to kind of learn about this specific feature. The sender options. So what we've done here, you have an option to do CC. That was kind of the way it used to be. Now you can actually do CC to other email fields, as you can see. So that is kind of an option. And then PCC is the same. Duplicate email settings is the same. So here in this, you have an option to select the email preference center. This is a big change. So if marketing team wants to create their own and they select it, and they can also select the specific unsubscribe group related to the marketing team only, and then send it that way. So now the IP pool is a drop down, so it's no more text box. You can link the email events to a different object, different parent object. That's possible. And we have the setting for the email deliverability. As I said, you can auto test the email deliverability. And finally, you can, so this is all the same. There are a few changes. The preview will display both the text version and the HTML version. So that's an advanced thing. And then we have the test email deliverability feature as well here. And then finally, you can click finish and then send it. So those are kind of changes that we have done, in the new release. And then the other features, I think, is the follow-up. I'll quickly show you where the follow-up button is. I'm just going to pick something randomly. So on the email status, you'll see this button called follow-up, which will display a screen where you can actually send a follow-up email. And then it'll populate the previous email that you've sent, in this email. And you can just kind of type in your email and then send it quickly. So that's a follow-up email feature. And the replies will get captured. As I said, those values would get captured if at all somebody replies, provided you have done the DNS settings and everything. So that's kind of, at a high level. There are many other small features that we added, but I think at a high level, that kind of covers pretty much everything that we have in the new release. And I plan to conduct a webinar, how to migrate to this new app and what bare minimum settings that you have to do when you're actually upgrading to the latest version. Especially the users need to be set up again. So that I'm planning to cover. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to send us an email or contact us through the web or phone, or send an email. This is a weekly webinar that we conduct every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific. And if you want to know what is the next topic, you can always reach our website and look up for the next webinar. Or if you're in our email list, you would receive an email. We also publish these events on our social channels as well. So feel free to check it out. Once again, thank you so much for joining this webinar. And we look forward to talking to you again next week.